Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Mad Mamluks podcast. My name is Sim. Along with me are my co-hosts, Mort and Megan. Megan, you're with your wali today. You know that, right?
Mashallah, alhamdulillah, yeah.
Oh
that's
yeah,
right.
I forgot I'm the wali.
Mort was my wali.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I took it very serious actually.
Formerly,
did.
you were called Wally.
Wally.
Until we
Wally.
started.
Wait, is it Wally or Wali?
No.
It's Wally. Wally's in the neighborhood.
Where's Waldo?
No, that's just a joke about correcting Megan's Arabic terminology.
Yeah, no, but I actually, I took that very seriously.
I know, mashallah, alhamdulillah.
Yeah, no, because I'm like, hey, I don't care. I told Sim, I'm like, listen, I don't care how much you're a friend of mine, but I take these things serious.
Yeah.
Did I tell you, I'm like, hey, if you have anything that you need to request?
You did. You were like, and I had never spoken to you before, and you were like, hey, is there anything that you want to put into, the terms? Is there anything that you want to ask about? Because I'm taking this seriously. And I was like, wow, mashallah. Because the first time I got married, sorry, to my ex-husband, I didn't know about, like, what a wali really was.
Yeah.
And there was just a random guy there. I didn't know him. I never had a conversation with him. He was just at the wedding.
This is in Indonesia.
This was in Indonesia, yeah. So you're a big step up for me, Mort. Alhamdulillah.
Oh, well, you're a step up to my friend Sim, so I think that's great. It all works out. Hey, so do you think that we could start something like rent a wali service?
Yeah.
Because I just proved
mashallah.
I'm a pretty serious wali, right?
Yeah, I think you were a great Wally, dude.
You were.
I was taken aback. I'm like, wait, whose side are you on here?
Well, I said,
Pal.
like, my one term was, could you beat Sim up if I needed you to? And you said yes.
Yeah, I was like, hey, if it came down to it.
Yeah, if it came down to it.
She's already women are driving a knife between the bros.
No, but I knew it would never come to that point.
I know, but see how they interjected it?
See
Oh,
how
yeah.
I'm just a source of fitna from the very beginning?
That's what women do.
Well, I think women need to know that they can control a man. And make them feel more secure when they can control someone. It means that they have some kind of control.
Well,
Yeah.
we don't have physical control, so we have to get it in through
Like mind
manipulation.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
mind games and...
But honestly, my thing as a wali was like, hey, look, I didn't know much about you, but I'm like, hey, this is a person who is not from a Islamic culture.
Yeah.
Has no idea what she should expect.
Yeah.
What her rights are, at least from what she may not know all of them. So I need to make sure that I communicate that if there's any rights, anything that you need to know, any questions that you have, anything you want to stipulate in your contract. Because some people don't realize that you can put things in your contract.
Yeah.
Like,
Well-
hey, I hate the color red. If you wear a red shirt, I'm leaving you. Right? I mean, something stupid like that, you could put it. I mean, technically it's dumb, but you could put that in there and people don't realize
But
that.
it also brings up the fact that, like, marriage for reverts is so complicated because we don't know our rights. We don't know, like, just the basic understanding of in Islam, which is, hey, like, you should check out your spouse and make sure that, like, he's a viable option for a husband, that he has a job, that he has a good reputation, that he has a good family, all that stuff. Non-Muslims, a lot of them tend to not want to address that. And so, like, when I was looking to get married, even asking someone like my own brother who, unfortunately doesn't really have a strong sense of ghira. I couldn't get him to be like, would you talk to this man I'm interested in? I didn't have any man in my life that would stand up for me in any form or any shape or form. And that's a problem, like, to begin with, right?
Yeah.
And I remember, like, before I met you, when I was, like, thinking, if I ever do meet someone that I want to get married, since I've been divorced before, like, there are some people that think I don't need a wife.
Something happened.
Oh. Are we streaming?
We were streaming, and
No,
I
I think we're
think
good. I can see you.
there was a disconnect. OBS just sent me a message. I think we're
Really?
we're back. We're
We
back.
are?
Oh,
Let me
yeah,
see.
I'm watching this stream right now, so
Oh, okay.
I think we're good.
Oh, yeah, here we are. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I know
So,
that's true. That most
yeah.
people have a misconception about what. I mean, some people just think it's like, oh, I just gotta just give her away.
Yeah.
But it's more than that. It's a protection, like, so, because men can take advantage of women,
It's true.
and so you need a man or someone who thinks like a man
Yeah.
in order to get the woman to ask the right questions. or to say remind them of certain rights that they have.
Yeah, yeah.
And say, forget about love. What do you need to do right now? What do you need for a relationship to work?
Right, right.
What are your financial goals? What are your expectations? What are some red lines that you have?
Yeah, yeah.
What do you need to know about him? Like those kinds of things. Like, do you know everything?
I mean, the other thing is like the whole idea of the mahar is really weird to a lot of non-Muslims, especially like American, like white culture.
The dowry concept?
That's like, that was so...
50-50!
Yeah.
My nifty 50! Right here!
It's just awkward for us to think of marriage as a transaction. We want it to be a floaty cloud experience. Where...
But I don't think the matter is representative as a transaction. I think it's there as security. I think there's
a token of appreciation, respect, admiration, a commitment. Like it's a sign of endearment.
Well, that's how you guys see it, because you were raised in accordance with Islamic value. But from the outside, like when I brought it up to my siblings, they were like, "Oh my God, there's a
trying
dowry?
to buy you?
That's so weird. Oh, why is it so much? Oh, that's so odd." They were like concerned about how big it was.
But you know what's funny though?
That made them uncomfortable. They were like, "You're gonna owe him so much. You're gonna be so indebted to him."
No, but what's funny though is that
wait, you're going to be?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
because you get money. That's why.
Because of how much I was getting, they were like, "That's so much. You're gonna be so uncomfortable. You're gonna feel like you're under his thumb."
No, Sim, you have to understand. They think that everything is 50-50, and nothing's for free. So why is he giving you this?
That's so
obviously
weird.
There's something in return. Right, and that means that you have to, you're indebted to him.
Just like the fact that you were going to support me financially was also a problem for them.
But you know what?
crazy?
I don't. Yeah, but I don't get it as well too though. They will make a big deal about the mahar, but they'll spend like 15, 20 grand in a ring.
Yeah.
And they'll literally work for 4 or 5 years and take a credit loan or whatever and pay this ring off.
What's the difference between however much money I gave you versus a ring I
because
bought
the
you?
ring you can wear, it's a promise. Everyone knows. Like
No. Now that you bring that up, there isn't actually a difference. It actually means the ring to white non-Muslim women means the same thing that the mahar means to a Muslim woman, I think. Yeah. But they don't, because it's not cold hard cash. It's more like of an ephemeral. It's more sensitive.
Yeah.
It's more, you know what I mean? So to them, it's just like, oh, he loves me so much. He got
so
me
romantic.
this big rock. He's so romantic.
See, it's the whole thing for them, like having to go out and pick the stone and get it in, the custom style, like the whole thought behind it. But here's my problem with that. I never knew this though, but for them, the big rock comes before the marriage, and then they get tiny little band at the end.
Yeah, they get a little.
So
band.
you have to actually buy this big thing for someone you may not marry.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, the engagement ring is the big rock. So it's kind of like.
Wait, well, how do Muslim girls usually do it?
Here's the mahar. You want a ring? All right, put it on when you get married. When you sign that contract, it goes on your finger. I'm not paying you nothing until we get married.
Gotta get something out of this.
Huh?
Gotta get something out of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I need some guarantees, right?
Yeah.
When your daddy signs the paper, I sign my check. We both signing something tonight,
Yeah, it's such a weird thing, and yeah.
Well, you're in the thick of things now, talking to a lot of our fans. You see a lot of the chat and stuff that, and I know you have like some really strong thoughts about how men or just people are kind of interpreting marriage. And I know one of the discussions we had was we were talking about how someone in our list was talking about how Hassan radiallahu anh had too many divorces.
Oh, yeah. And
he so much so that his father had to warn women that, hey, this guy's a serial divorcer. That's apparently, now I don't know the validity of this report or this narration or whatever, but this is what someone was narrating. Okay. To me, it just, on the surface level, it just sounds fishy. It doesn't. Islam.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't subscribe to the type of relationship with marriage that some black communities have, like, you know, the Salafi black communities in America. The wife swapping. They're almost like just divorcing, getting married, and it's like they have no like real concept of what the purpose of marriage is for.
You mean there's got to be a balance, right? I mean,
Right.
we're not against divorce. We're not pro-divorce either. I mean, that we're not saying that you should just. We're in the middle. Like, if you have to do it, fine, we get it. But it shouldn't be like a sport where you're like, hey, you know what? I'm not working anything out. I don't care. I'll get divorced and marry somebody else. Like, that kind of attitude is also negative too, right?
But don't you think it's a little bit more than just in the middle? To me, it should be like more on the side of being discouraged as much as possible.
Yeah. I mean, what I'm saying is, but what I mean when I say middle, I'm saying that like that, you know what? Let's say that you've exhausted all methods.
Yeah.
And there should be no stigma with you getting divorced.
Right.
Right? But it shouldn't be something that's the first case where you say, you know what? We have a problem.
Yeah.
Hit that divorce button.
I don't like the way you
Yeah,
snore.
like that's I don't like the way he spoke to me that day. I'm divorcing him.
Yeah.
Right, or her. I don't think that's a thing. But with regards to the past, you have to understand something also in the past. The idea of having multiple wives was one thing, but the notion that the reason why I find it to be a little funny is because there were a lot of concubines. You didn't have to get married to anybody. I mean, you could have a concubine, right? I mean, which is perfectly fine at that time. It was legal. I mean, you got the war and ghanaim. But that's a whole different story. But what I'm saying is that the point being is that I think you can't stigmatize divorce, and you can't run around and say and then also just encourage it blindly and say, yeah, just go ahead and do it. Like there's no significant, it's like it's not a weighty issue. Like it's not something you have to really consider before you do.
Yeah.
We got to be somewhere in the middle where we're saying, listen, you got married, you have responsibilities. Either you man up, and if you can't man up and you've exhausted all the areas, then perhaps maybe this is the avenue, but you should try to make it work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and one thing that I have been talking to Sim about, and something that I've been really getting into in my own research, is how, and I'm going to get so much flack for this, but how women, I think, are largely responsible for so much divorce. And I'm not saying that the men are angels. I think men can be majorly problematic, but I think that women have, because of white Western feminism and because of capitalism, lost the ability to know how to speak to their men and know how to understand and respect their men and to make their men feel appreciated. And when men don't feel appreciated, they're not good men. And then the women have more to complain about. And they don't really understand the motives of men anymore. I don't think that we really know how to interact with them, how to please them, how to be pleasable by men. And so women end up throwing in the towel because they just from the get-go are seeing these very basic masculine traits as being super toxic and problematic, and I'm going to get rid of this one. And I think the men that do end up instigating divorce have really reached the end of their tether. I think men in general are better committers than women. I think that they tend to take their commitments more seriously. I think that they're also more simple than women. They have more basic needs, and they want to overlook the faults of their women more than the women want to overlook the faults of their men.
You know what I think?
Well, no, look. Think about the constant, the typical woman. Okay, we're not talking about every single woman out there. I know many sisters listening to us. They're amazing sisters who have like just incredible character. But there's some women who are just like for how many years does a man absorb that, and then says, hey, you know what, I'm looking out for the best for my family, for my kids. I can't go through divorce because my children are bigger than me, their future is bigger than me, and they don't explore that option because for them, they're thinking about their progeny. It's not just their kids, their grandkids. Right. Everyone is affected by divorce. And so that's what she's talking about. She's talking about the commitment of a man is he's not just thinking about tomorrow, but he's thinking about generations from now.
Yeah. I think there's a couple things I want to raise here. First of all, there's two main things here. I think number one, the reason why you're seeing a lot of women jump or flock towards divorce or flexing their power is because now they have the option to. Meaning, Islam had a certain balance where, listen, divorce is the right of a man. A woman could seek a khula, a separation, if it was needed. But there was a system, meaning that, fine, if you want a khula, you don't get any maintenance.
Yeah.
If you are divorced, you get 3 months, and that was it.
Yeah.
You're on your own. Sayonara.
Yeah.
Now, they want the Islamic rights in terms of dowry, in terms of maintenance, in terms of the man providing everything during the marriage. And then when the divorce happens, they want the non-Muslim system to continue the payments.
Yeah.
Not just 3 months now. We're talking about, for sometimes people, depending on how long you've been married, it could be a lifetime of alimony of going forward. If it's more than 20 years. If it's less than 10 years, they calculate some rate, whatever it is, whatever it could be. But they're getting payments.
Yeah.
And is that just Islamically?
Right.
No. Right? And so when they realize, and not all of them understand this, but many people who are pro-divorce, or at least in that field, are whispering to them, hey, you can get this. Why would you settle? But this is also hung over the man as a way, hey, I can divorce you tomorrow and clean you out and lock you out of your home and nothing you can do about it.
Keep your kids from you.
Yeah, I can keep your kids from you. I can lock you out of your house. I can do that. And so the balance of power is gone.
Yeah.
And then here's the funny part. On the flip side, many men are getting tired of being threatened by a woman, and they're thinking that, you know what, well, as I've gotten older, my value has increased. I have more money. Yeah. I'm more mature. I'm worth more now than I was 15 years ago. Yeah. And a woman's looking at herself, and she's like, wait a minute. The woman's value is going down because, you know, she's not as fertile, she's older, she's past her prime. Yeah. And so her value, the pool that she had once access to before when she was 18, 19, all the men are no longer coming around anymore. Yeah. But now when the guy was 18, 19, nobody wanted to look at him. Yeah. He had no job, no money. But now he's like 30, 35, 40. He's got money, job, cars, homes. Right. And he's prime real estate now.
And that's why I was...
And so the man's looking around. He's like, hey.
Yeah, that's why a lot of guys talk about polygamy. Well, they might not even go through with it. They're just fantasizing in their head. They're like, oh, man, my current woman doesn't respect me. She's always nagging me. She's just, you know, always on my case. And she's, you know, past her prime. Why not? You know, I mean... This isn't
a nice thing to say, okay? So there's going to be lots of people that hear this, and it's very triggering for them. We're not saying that we think this way. We're just saying that this is the thought process that does occur. Right. These ways of thinking do occur. So if you're hearing this and polygamy makes the hair on the back of your neck rise up like it does me, I'm going to be honest, then... just take a chill pill. But these thoughts do happen. But the saddest part about all of this to me is that if women learned how to communicate with men and how to be more focused on themselves and their own pleasure and their own joy and how to be respectful and appreciative of their men, they'd be able to keep those husbands, and they'd be wonderful husbands who cherish them and protect them and want to be heroes for them. Men turn around really fast. Like, I've talked to you about this so much. I'm a part of this wives group, and I see it all the time where, men, they stay out late, they have other women, they drink, they have all these problems. As soon as the woman learns how to talk to him, how to stop nagging, how to stay on her own paper, how to be appreciative, he starts coming home. He leaves the other woman. He appreciates her. He takes her out on trips. And these people could have marriages of bliss and what's the Arabic word? Sakina. And they're losing out on that, and they're throwing perfectly good marriages away because they don't know how to communicate with their men.
Yeah, and this is not to say that those men are not responsible for their actions.
Right.
Of course
Of
they are.
course.
They absolutely, are at fault for any bad behavior, any haram, anything that they engage in that disrupts their marriage. Of
Right.
course they are. And it's not taking away anything from their responsibility from that. We're talking about fixing a relationship, trying to, solve a problem, not exacerbate it and just demolish the relationship. And that's where the difference lies. There's some people who just want to just make a point. I don't need you, and I can be without you because I don't want to work to fix you.
Yeah.
And that's fine. You can do that, and that's your prerogative. But for the well-being of the family unit, I think any counselor, anyone who is in some area of responsibility or has a congregation, or anyone who's involved in family counseling, they will always try to preserve the family unit. They're not trying to say, hey, you guys should go your other way.
I think a lot of those marriage counselors are super pro-divorce, though. Sometimes I've heard there's actually this book called First Kill All the Marriage Counselors.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because a lot of times what ends up happening is the men feel so picked on by their wives. I'm talking about like common dynamics, okay? Men feel super picked on by their wives, so they start behaving even worse. They start behaving more badly. And then the wife has more to complain about, and the man feels even more disrespected. Then she forces him to go to marriage counseling, and the marriage counselor sits there and says, talk crap about each other now in front of me. And then they leave, and they both just feel so betrayed.
So I think one thing for most men is that if you annoy me, I'm gonna avoid the hell out of you.
Yeah, most men don't want to spend time with their wives.
And then if you go to talk to somebody else about me, I feel like you betrayed my honor.
Yeah, exactly.
You're leaking my dirty laundry to somebody else. Because us, generally men speaking, I mean, I don't know about every man, but I would never go to him and talk and complain about my wife.
Yeah.
Something we just don't do. Because our job is to protect them. Our job is to maintain, to be protectors.
Yeah,
you can't protect somebody if you're exposing them.
Right.
Right. And so immediately, like, I always wondered, like, how does that kind of work when you're walking into a therapy session? Like, I'd be awkwardly like walking in if I had to go to one, God forbid, and there was a woman who knew everything about me.
Yeah.
And I had no idea who the hell you were, crazy white lady. Oh, hey, I know everything about you. I know you like to you have tea time at 12 o'clock and you like to wear your boxers this way. Who are you? You know what I mean? Like, why do you know these details?
Yeah.
That's betrayal to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I immediately feel like, oh my God, what have you told? And who then have you told?
Yeah.
Besides her.
Exactly. Well, women love to complain about their husbands to each other. It's a systemic problem. And it's almost impossible to find female friends that don't want to husband bash, frankly. Yeah, that's been my experience. And it's
doesn't that betray like the sanctity of your bond between your husband and wife? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
It just boggles my mind how someone could go out and tell other people, and I know it happens. It's not just so it's not that surprising.
Right.
I've seen it happen, but
maybe it's out of desperation. Maybe at the moment we're like, hey, I need to fix this. I don't know how. I think, you know what, to be honest though, I think this method of resolution worked for Western people who don't have a sense of community. When you have a community, you can turn to others inside or trusted people that you both know.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if I had an issue, I could turn to someone elder in my family and say, hey, can you speak to an elder in their family? You can resolve it.
Yeah.
It's different when it's happening internally where you trust someone you mutually both respect.
Yeah.
Versus someone who I don't even know who this non-Muslim woman is, and you're telling what? First of all, why is she qualified to give you advice? I mean, why? What does she know about me?
Yeah.
What does she know about? I mean, I'll be honest. A lot of people, I think, for any side, if it's one person coming into the meeting and the one who initiated, they're probably thinking to the one who's being invited that they're going to be ambushed.
Yeah.
Like, what have you already told them?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you already have this perception of me. Whether you can claim that you're not biased and you just want to talk about it, you just want to hear my side, but everybody has biases.
But then, I mean, here's another layer, which is such a huge problem. Then you have the fact, I mean, we can't ignore that it is so trendy to be obsessed with how you have been a victim of some type of abuse. It's like the trendiest thing.
I'm so glad you brought it up.
And to call, and everybody is a narcissist now. So anybody's most basic behavior, just like, it basically, according to most feminist women today, the definition of a narcissist is someone saying something I don't like to me. Like, you can call anybody a narcissist now, and any behavior, if you frame it the right way, sounds abusive and problematic, and oh my god,
but they want to keep you around.
So toxic, you have to get rid of him. He's just being a man.
You know what narcissism is today? Is like the same term as anti-Semitism, where everything is racist, everything is and I feel like I was just thinking about that right, and before you were mentioning this, I'm like, oh my god, this victimhood, this woe to me attitude. Everything happened to me. I was just minding. I'm the most perfect. And then they're reinforced with these ideas. Yeah. You live your best life. You are you're beautiful. You're handsome. You don't body shame anybody. Don't do anything. I mean, all these positive reinforcements for everybody, which are great, but they build this attitude that they're completely infallible. Yeah. And it's somebody else that is responsible for your misery. And and every issue that you're facing, it's because of somebody else.
So you see, I was talking to Megan about this, and I was like, this is a problem widespread throughout, like, social media personalities and whatnot. There's a growing sense of people who aren't very creative. They're not artistic. They don't have any mode of entertaining people. So what they do is they play on your sympathy. They're just leeches. Yeah. What they want is, They've either A, made a lot of terrible choices in their life, B, they want recognition, they want to be heard, they want someone to listen to them, they want some meaning in their life, but they don't want to do any of the hard work related to it.
They just want the pat in the back.
They want not just the pat in the back, they want to be held up. They're so in love with the sound of
so much.
They want to be
so proud of you.
They want to be lecturers. They want to be people who people look up to
without doing the work.
Without doing any kind of artistic.
Like they feel justified.
Yeah,
already to represent
think about any artist out there, whether it's a songwriter, movies out there. Everyone is inspired by their pain to create something amazing and beautiful, some amazing expression, right? But they don't have those vehicles. Yeah. Instead, what they do is, woe to me. Come and look at my pitiful life, my misery, how much I've been abused.
And here's the thing, too. I could have been this, but woe to me.
Yeah.
Woe
their
to
trauma
me.
becomes their glory.
You should just give it to me because I could have been, but I didn't because of all this pain and suffering that I'm suffering from.
When in fact, the fact that you survived something is literally the least interesting part about you.
Yeah. I mean, everyone survives something in life.
Exactly. Right. Like, who hasn't been abused in their life? Everyone's been abused.
If you grew up prior to 2000... Okay.
You were abused so bad.
Yeah, I mean, you were not only abused, you were physically abused.
You were physically abused.
Right? I mean, like, I'm talking about, like, by other peers, by parents, by adults.
White people, they get sexually abused. Yeah. Brown people, they physically
abused. If you were
abused.
Catholic before 1995, dude, you were screwed. You were, like, I mean, tossed around like a whirly ball, dude. I mean, there was no turning back from that. But you don't hear them complaining. But see, here's the other biggest thing, too, Sim. We get that there are people who are always going to play the victimhood. Woe to me. But here's what I don't like about the whole thing. The movement is that everyone is like this self-proclaimed psychiatrist now. Or psychologist, I should say. Psychologists are different psychologists, right? Psychologists don't prescribe medication. Psychiatrists do.
It's called coaching, by the way. It's the coaches.
Yeah. Well, so
someone actually advised that to me because I was like thinking about making some extra money on the side. They're like, hey, Sim, You give good advice to the
I could
youth.
be a life coach
Why
too.
don't you be a coach? I'm like, don't you guys aren't there like legal things that I have to grapple with? They're like, no. Coaches, they don't have to deal with any of that.
I'm a certified life coach.
You
What does that
you
mean?
can make up your own certifications.
Yeah, my motto is F it. You know what I mean?
It blew my mind. I swear to God, I had this
No.
conversation. I was so
This is
shocked by it.
But this is my main point
Yeah.
was is that they feel the need to play this role and then self-diagnose everybody.
It's true.
Like, you're this way, you're that way, you're this way. You need me to recognize all these problems in you.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, no, I don't. I don't need you to do anything for me. You just need to leave me alone.
If you open up the DSMV, you can find literally any aspect of any human being associated with some kind of mental illness.
It's true.
And anyone around you, you can say, hey, Mort, this fits your description, you're that. Megan, you're this. Sim, you're that. So, I mean, that's what's the condition right now of these life coaches or whatever. They're just saying, oh, here's who you are. Your pattern of behavior fits that. Yours is that.
Yeah.
Yours is that. These are just lazily throwing around the abuse. Didn't go to a day of school in their life.
Well,
Yeah.
the sad part about this is that narcissists are real.
Yeah.
Sociopaths, psychopaths, all of these, personality issues or problems or diseases, however you want to call them, they exist on a spectrum, and there are truly narcissistic people who do have major problems with zero empathy, and all those little terms that people love to throw around when associated with narcissism, like gaslighting, discarding,
manipulative,
devaluing, all those phases, all of this stuff. That stuff really is real, but it's difficult because
human beings have some of those characteristics sprinkled in them. And you can choose
Everybody
any
has
moment in
Right,
someone's
you have a
life and
tendency
say,
to do
hey,
this.
this is
Right.
the moment you were gaslighting, or this is the moment.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Is that making me a narcissist now? Because I did that in a moment. I mean, I could be doing unconsciously. It could just happen. These are all common tendencies that we have. And you're right. The problem is that since everyone has little bits of these traits,
Exactly.
just when you don't like someone, they become that thing.
Yeah.
And also, the other thing I want to mention is that while I do believe these are real problems that some people have, I think the frequency is much lower than they're trying to make out to be. I mean, the way they make it sound is like one out of every 5 people you meet is a narcissist walking around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone has narcissism. You know what I mean? Like,
everyone has toxic masculinity. It's just
and so it's not that, and this goes back to the fundamental problem we've talked about before. When you misuse and misappropriate terms, they lose value.
Absolutely.
no
Wolf.
one takes the real abuse seriously. There's so many women who are abused physically, emotionally, and go through people who are psychologically, disturbed, and they may be legitimate victims of this kind of abuse. But
well, that's what upsets me, because I have been in a marriage where I was physically abused. So I have dealt with majorly dark things. And I've also been married to you now. And the difference is like night and day. And it's just so funny to me how people can construe any type of negative interaction as narcissism, when I've actually faced true abuse. And I want to say to those people, like, honey, you don't have any idea what abuse is. Like, this is not just, it's not something fun that you get to post about and share. It's actually humiliating. It's extremely difficult. It shakes you down to your core. You don't really want to talk to anybody about it.
let's just make Facebook posts about it.
Yeah, it's
like a shame thing.
It's actually like, it broke me down so subtly for so long, and it happens to be the least interesting thing about me. Like, it happens to be something that I have, I've dealt with it in therapy, and I'm sure that I'll be chewing over it for the rest of my life, because that's what Allah intended for me. And I have received so many lessons from that. But at the end of the day, it's not my crowning glory, dude. It's not the thing that makes me feel like a shiny, beautiful, glorious human being. It's just not that interesting.
Is that the biggest battle you fought?
Ma'am.
No.
Yeah.
And I have so much more on my plate, so much more to talk about, so much more to give than this little facet of my personality that happened to go through real abuse.
Yeah. Well, it kind of brings up our next topic, and that is New Jersey student whose assistant teacher, he was asking for some time.
This is a good joke, actually, though. I mean,
Some
the joke
time-
was good. I laugh.
Some time for turning his assignment. I think he wanted to take it home. And the assistant teacher said, he quipped back at him, said, "We don't negotiate with terrorists." His name was Mohammed Abdul or something.
So look, it is messed up for a kid to hear, but
Right.
I personally found it. I mean, I chuckled.
Look,
right?
he's a
Because
senior.
It's such a one line. It's like one of those one liners like got him zinger. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
that. Like one of those things. But it's sad the kid had to go through that, right? Because a teacher should never do it to a kid.
Yeah.
Right. In that regard.
You know what happened to me, man? Okay, remember
I know that.
no, remember the Oklahoma City bombings?
Yeah.
Bro, there was this guy at Glenbard East, our history teacher, young dude, hip, cool, had sideburns, had a guitar with him. His name was Mr.
He made it
Vandenberg.
coming to you.
Mr. Vandenberg. He's standing right outside the door. I'm walking with my, rock and roll gear, and I'm getting ready to come to this class. He's my favorite teacher too because we have fun discussions and stuff. So there's a comfortability with that he has with me because me and him, history was my favorite subject. I always did well in it.
Yeah.
So he
got
had
the bond.
So he's holding the newspaper for the Oklahoma City bombing, and he unravels it. He's like, "What do they want? Why are they doing this to us?" So he's thinking it's a Muslim thing. Because that back then, and I took a few days for them to figure out whether it was Timothy McVeigh.
Right.
But some initial reports said that they saw
Crazy Whitey.
they saw an Arab man.
Sorry.
They saw an Arab man
Sure.
who was near the building. So they were looking for an Arab man in the first few days. So Mr. Vandenberg comes up to me and he's like, "Well, what's going on here, Sim?
Explain to me. Decode it, Tim. Is Tim looking like this?
And I'm just like,
Man.
I swear to God, that was just my reaction. I just shrugged. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know why people want to kill
Let's
you.
figure out together.
I automatically assumed it was. By the way,
Let's unpack this.
by the way, I already assumed it was our own people. I was more racist.
I'm not gonna lie, bro. Some kid was like after the Twin Towers thing. They're like, "Hey, you terrorists." I'm like, I just come up. Damn right, I'm gonna bomb your ass. I mean, I'm like, if you want to label me that, I'm gonna wear it, right?
So, but the thing is, look, I think about that moment. If that happened today, I'm like, I still wouldn't report him. I would
Dude,
there's so many people who would report him.
That's
if
because
he had,
of you, the way you grew up. I'm saying now, if you were growing up now and that happened to you, you'd be hashtag tweeting right now. "Oh my God, I'm so offended. Oh my God, my feelings are hurt. I can't go to school. I'm traumatized.
Yeah.
PTSD. I can't ever step into a music school anymore without having a flashback or being called a terrorist." You would lose your mind because they're not. You know what it is. They're teaching them, rather than dealing with a problem and trying to find a solution or just moving on from it, to dwell in it and to capitalize on it and to let it marinate.
and make a social statement.
Yes.
Social statement and talk about your victimhood. Talk about someone else's stereotypes and
Yeah.
and
What it is like now you have something
Yeah.
that you have one up on somebody.
yeah.
Manipulate the hell out of it.
you know-
Rinse it.
When you play Uno, you have the higher card or something. You got the higher card.
You can control with a card with the
Yeah, you got that black wild card there, right?
Yeah.
I
It's
haven't
like-
played
no,
Uno in
yeah.
a while, but I think the wild card
I don't know
in Uno.
Uno.
Yeah,
So
I know you
Uno
don't.
is a color game. You have to put the colors down.
Oh, is it
right?
the ones with the black backs?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
You're only
Yeah,
allowed
we
to
have
say,
to-
you're supposed to say African American.
Yeah, we'll
okay?
play Uno
No
one day.
black.
I know you probably didn't have that in Indonesia where you came from, but we'll play Uno with you one day. But it's like armor all over again, dude. We have to teach them about Uno and No, I'm just kidding. No, but listen, but yeah, you're right. Or there's like, it's like that one reverse card, right? Where like you have your last card and you're like, oh yeah, I get to reverse it, right? And it's like that whole thing, I'm reversing it back on you. Yeah. But it's like now we have that little one bit of information about you. Ooh, and you're not even that offended. You're just like, now I got this leverage on you, I'm gonna use it. So you better support whatever I believe in, or I'm gonna use this against you.
Look, it bothers me because it just makes us seem like we're
weak.
We can't handle any jokes. Everyone has to walk around eggshells. There's certain communities, I'm not going to mention, around America, you can't mention any kind of jokes because they'll end up reporting you and stuff like that, and you end up becoming a pariah, So people just stop joking around you. And there's so many people that we've worked with different ethnicities that we have such good relationships with.
Yeah.
And we were able to make so many kinds of jokes across religion, across color, ethnicity, languages, whatever intersection of humanity you're in or identifies with you, you're able to make so many jokes around it. But now there's this class of people, the same class that we were talking about earlier, these people who are attention deprived. Mm-hmm. This kid, he took a whole week off of school because he was so hurt. By the assistant teacher's joke.
So for the kid, I can understand. I mean, it's a little different. I mean, whatever.
Come on, dude.
Yeah, I mean, no, I wouldn't do it, me personally. But I'm saying, given where he's growing up now and the whole woke culture, I understand why he's outraged. But what I'm saying is this, though, is that what happened to contextualizing? Like, let's say, like, I've gotten to know Megan now. There are certain things that I can say in front of her, that off camera, whatever, in front of you. I mean, when you guys together, where we'll joke about, and it's not like anything that she would get offended by.
Yeah.
Right.
But if someone else from the outside who heard that conversation, they don't know the context, they don't know the level of relationship we have, and they will say, "That's appalling! Oh my God, how dare you say that?" Right? But why are you getting offended for somebody who's not offended?
So apparently, the teacher came by to the student after the interaction, after he made the joke, and some of the people in the crowd laughed, and he noticed that the kid wasn't laughing. So he came by and he patted him back and he's kind of said like, "Hey, look, it wasn't meant for the way you're taking it." Kind of, I don't remember the exact words that he used, but he kind of tried to, assuage him and say like, "Hey,
line, right?" I mean, the teacher's trying to hold the kid's trying to hold the teacher hostage. He's like, it's just, whatever,
The pat in the back means stop being a bee, okay?
Yeah.
Grow up here, okay? He's joking. He made a joke. You're not. You don't. This is not your get out of jail for free card.
Right. You're, give me an A now. You want honor GPA the whole level. You got to give me a scholarship now. Like, don't milk these things. Because then people then resent. They don't actually regret it anymore. Yeah. They're just like, you know what? These people are waiting for me to slip up so that they can capitalize on it. And so now, rather than speaking candidly and just having real conversations, we have to just kind of tippy-toe around things and then contain that. And you know why that's really dangerous? Because then you actually don't have genuine relationships with people. You actually don't get to know someone who's a different race, different religion, because everyone's just saying what you want to hear.
Look, the American culture we grew up in never, ever valued or gave any kind of credibility to your difficulty, it was always your hard work. And people always want to say, "Oh, well, I'm American," and you can define American as however you want, but the country and the culture of the country for the longest time has always been like, you get your respect by earning it, and that's how you're always handed your respect. That you don't cry about it. You don't cry about how your dad left you or your mom left you, and you were supposed to you were an accident of someone didn't wear protection, and you were an accident of birth or something like that. People want to be they want to
remembering somebody.
The reason why I'm thinking about this is I'm laughing too, because like I can go back in history and name so many events that would be considered to be like traumatic now. I mean, like I can complain about everything. Like, white people would call me eggplant, or that damaged me my whole life. That I never had. Every time I saw an eggplant, I have stressed now because I can't eat eggplants anymore because I think I'm eating myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I can make so much nonsense up about this stupid thing. Like, oh, you know,
these days more, but just be careful. Eggplants have a different connotation these days.
Yeah, the emoji.
So
the eggplant
you
emoji.
just
Do you
gotta
know
be
about
I
careful.
don't think emoji eggplant. I'm saying they said So for those people who don't know what this is, back in the days, old school Italians used to call dark people with curly hair eggplants.
Moulignan.
Yeah, no, because they
I
said
think that's
it's
the-
like purple dark, and then like
You have to watch
the little
Sopranos to
leaf
know.
on top was like the like the little hair. So
Yeah.
they say, I'm gonna walk into the kid's house, Rob Nero's house. His grandfather. Hey, who's this eggplant? I'm an eggplant. And then I found out that he was talking, it was a racist thing.
Oh.
But then I'm like, we're like, don't worry, old people just racist. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna call him a Guido. Right? And
Yeah.
so I just called the old man a Guido. And this is how we would joke with each other. And he would just say, hey, eggplant, hey, Guido, you old Guido. And that's how it just kind of,
Yeah.
it was just, but that happening now would be like the most outrageous thing. But what I'm saying is that I don't take these moments, whether it's being bullied by Irish kids because my brother was wearing hearing aids, or having a fight because I was a dark kid in school, or whatever. Those things I don't relish in them. I don't say, oh my God, actually I say, you know what, that made me part of who I am. Meaning that it made me this person that's bold and can speak my mind and to go out and get what I want to get, because you have to get over it, adversity.
That brings up our great segue into how this Afghan fighter dealt with
Wait,
being harassed.
Before we move on, babe, may I please do the Italian New Jersey Mafia voice impression?
No.
that
I
do?
feel like an honor killing is coming right now.
It's so good.
No.
No one knows about it except you, and it's so funny.
It's, there's some things that just a man just needs to keep his wife away
But
from.
can you just tell them
He's
that
putting
it's
a
good?
muzzle
I
on you
won't
right
do it,
now.
but will you just tell the listeners it's a good?
Do you know sometimes dogs, you're white, you know about dogs, how they have these cones that they.
Are you calling her a dog?
No.
Are you
Hey, I'm still her Wally.
Sometimes
A-hole.
sometimes dogs have this cone that they're given or
Yeah,
other.
protect from biting other people, yeah.
So they're biting themselves.
So you think she's going to bite herself?
Yeah, so by doing her accent that she wants to do right now, I'm protecting her by putting this cone around her from harming herself.
Sorry, it's just not funny. So we'll do it off camera. I'll try. I'll let you know if it's funny.
Afterwards, I'll do it.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks for being
Wah,
my
wah,
cone.
wah.
My cone of shame.
This is the man's world.
There's an Afghan thing you were
Yes,
gonna,
so
an
there was a
Afghan
fighter.
thing you were going to talk about.
Javed
Yeah.
Bashara.
Javed who?
Javed, like Javed Iran. Right?
Javed.
Yeah, Javed. Bashara, like your friend Bashara.
Al-Assad?
No, not Assad, not Basharat. Not Bashar, Basharat.
Oh, Basharat.
Like your friend Basharat.
Oh, yeah. I have a
Yeah,
friend
like
there.
him. Yeah. So so apparently he has a weigh-in on Monday. Okay, I don't know if you know about fighting,
No,
but
no.
there's weigh-ins before the fight. You have to make the weight, then you go to the fight. So it happens the night before. He's fighting this guy named Orum, this Israeli guy, MMA fighter. Okay, so there's some bad blood here. The Israeli guy sticks out his hand like during the face-off, and after it's done, and wants to shake his hand, and the Afghan guy doesn't want to shake his hand. So the Israeli guy starts berating him and calls him a terrorist. Okay. Next night's the fight. And Tuesday, just happened on Tuesday. And alhamdulillah, this Afghan guy, for 3 straight rounds, mauls this guy.
Wow,
I mean, like,
mashallah.
uses the elbows to cut this guy's face, everything, and finally ends up, which is, he submits him with 45 seconds left to go in the final round, which is kind of humiliating because he beat you up the whole round and then he just puts you to sleep. I mean, kind of, submits you, right? So, there we go. Yes.
Yeah. Jawed Bashar says, terrorist taunt didn't add to disrespect. The guy signed to beat me up in front of my family.
Yeah. So, this is the thing. Dana White, I don't think it should be made something that's like a big deal, by the way. I'm glad Dana White said it's not a big deal. You can allow for the trash talking. This goes back to what I don't care if someone calls me a terrorist, right? Big deal. But I'm just glad that it's kind of like one of those things where it's like, what's my name moment? Like when they, when Sonny Liston kept calling Muhammad Ali by Cassius Clay. Like, what's my name? Or like when Habib Nurmagomedov was fighting Conor McGregor, and he's like, talk now. He kept beating him up. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those kind of things where you get an ass whipping and you deserve it. You know what I mean? Like, you made that comment, you then crossed the line.
Yeah.
You know, oh, here
is
we go.
this him?
Oh, maybe this is the one.
Yeah.
No, this is not.
Which one is
Is that not the fight? Or on Cosmo?
Well, hold on, let me see.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, this
so
is
the
the
guy on
actual
the
one.
left.
But don't play the audio, though.
Yeah, I'm not.
Because I think it's gonna be like a little song.
Okay, now
I
they're
just
seeing
want
it.
to see some of the
So
highlights.
the guy in the red shorts is the
Yeah.
Israeli.
The guy in the red short is the Israeli guy who was talking all this crap. And you see, for 3 rounds, this is repetitive. Just beating him and beating him and beating him and smothering him and beating him and beating him. Blood dripping out of his face. And then if you go to the final in the 3rd round, where he gets like, just before a little bit, he puts him to sleep. Watch this. He beats him up, finds the opening, and puts him into, he gets his arm in there and puts him, there you go, neck crank on there.
He's going to sleep?
Yeah. He's about to tap, if he wouldn't, he'd be tapped out.
Ooh.
It's immense pressure on him. And so he had to tap out because his neck was under complete strain. But there you go. And he just does his business and leaves. Doesn't talk crap or any of that stuff. And I think this is great. We need more fights like this. We need more.
That's how you respond. If legitimate oppression happens, someone who is, challenging you, someone who is making fun of your ethnicity or your background or whatever, you rise to the occasion. I'm not saying go into an MMA fight. You rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
You want to demonstrate your success. And what right now what's happening is just people are saying, you know what, instead of that, I'm just going to cry about it. And I'm going to shame you in public, and you're going to be held hostage to my emotions.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. One of the commenters is saying, listeners are saying, you know what, had Javed, if he issued an anti-Semitic comment back, how the media would have been way different.
Oh, yeah, without a doubt.
That's
right?
a really good point.
He probably would have came out, oh my God, you're anti-Semitic, you hate Jews, Jew killer, you hate the Jews, oh my God, this other Holocaust happened, look at that, you want to murder him, oh my God, they would have went crazy about
Meg,
it.
what happened to your Instagram?
Okay, so a while back, there was, remember, I think I'm going to mispronounce this, the Sheikh Jarrah stuff going
Sheikh
on?
Jarrah.
Yeah. I think that was in June.
That's in the Palestine.
The Palestine. Okay. Anyway, it was a few months back.
Yeah, in Ramadan time, around that time. I mean, after Ramadan, yeah.
So during that time, I found some footage from a protest in Nazi Germany where children of Nazis were chanting "Death to Jews! Death to Jews!" And it was very haunting. You know, anytime you see like the faces of children and you hear something like that coming out, it's really chilling. And then I found similar footage from modern day occupied Palestine. Some Israeli children saying "Death to Arabs! Death to Arabs!" And all I did was post those 2 pieces of footage side by side and say, history repeating itself. That's all I said. I didn't say anything anti-Semitic. The reason why I posted it was to point out, like, hey, the very people that were oppressed, had genocide committed against them, are doing the same thing systemically today. So these these pieces of footage were recently reported by somebody and taken down, and I got like Instagram certain like content privileges taken away on my Instagram account, and I was telling Sim about it, and he was like, these people, like some of these Zionists, all they do is just like sit there scrolling looking for things to report, and they're such babies they can't even be faced with reality. Like they won't even look at something that is true, that it's actually happening, like that's real footage, and the fact that footage exists side by side is unacceptable to them. And Instagram/Facebook is so in such cahoots with Zionists that it's impossible to.
Abby Martin did a great documentary. I don't know if you know Abby
I like
Martin.
her. She's a great. She's
she's great.
Guy or something, but she's a really good.
She's a little pro Russia, but
still
and
pro Bashar, but
she has her critique of Israelis and Zionism is
Right.
on point.
Really?
And
The Rogan one was great.
she did a documentary on how the Israelis brainwashed their population, literally brainwashing and suppression of any free ideas about their mistreatment of Palestine and how they completely avoid any responsibility for the oppression that the Palestinians are experiencing.
Yeah.
So make sure you check it out.
She had a wonderful.
ABBYMARTIN.
Yeah, Abby Martin.
Yeah.
She used to be on Russia TV, Russia Today, RT.
Yeah.
But then she kind of moved because she couldn't like deal with like the propaganda they wanted her to say.
Yeah.
But she does still have some pro leaning. Like she's very anti-capitalist, anti-American, and I mean in some ways. Not anti-American, but anti-American foreign policy.
Where does she live?
She lives in America, I think.
Really?
Yeah, I think
Right now, she's part of a group called the Empire Files.
Yeah.
And I follow her work. I mean, I like some of her stuff.
Yeah, I follow
Don't
her
get
on
me
Twitter and stuff.
But she has a really good segment she did with Joe Rogan.
Right. Here's the thing. The reason why people call her pro-Russia is she's not actually pro-Russia. She's just comparing the same crap that you accused Russia and China of. You're doing the same exact thing. So that's why people say that, oh, you're pro-Russia.
No, I don't mean in that sense.
She also worked for RT. You're right.
No, but I don't mean in that sense. The fact that she took Bashar's side.
Well, yeah, that is a little bit more complicated because there were some people on the left here in America, in Western media, who were kind of exaggerating some of the atrocities
And
that
they led them to be
and they said,
skeptical
hey,
about everything.
yeah, and they said,
Right.
hey, that is not actually happening here on the ground. There's people here, Syrians that we know, who are saying that completely did not happen. This chemical attack or something. Now, I'm not saying that it didn't happen or did happen. I don't know.
But some things were exaggerated,
But
and she
some
probably went
things
with the
did.
skepticism and said, you know, if this is exaggerated, what else is exaggerated?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. But what I'm saying is I think that only took place because she does have some like anti-American foreign policy leanings where she just doesn't trust anything that comes out from the U.S. government at all.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, and that's fine. But like I said, no journalist is perfect, but I do respect some of her work. I watch some of her stuff. I think she's a great journalist in a lot of ways. People have flaws, but like he said, like he mentioned earlier, great piece on how they totally overshadow the Palestinian struggle, and they dehumanize Palestinians in Israeli media to the point where they look at them like just basically like subhuman animals that are just basically there, just filling up space.
But I'm curious, what was Joe Rogan's response? So is he now pro-Palestine or?
No.
Well, no, he's. I think he tries to stay away from it because he's got friends who are pro-Israelis, like Barry Weiss, who works for New York Times. She's like the biggest crybaby Zionist journalist out there. Biggest, like all she did, she came on Rogan's show and she cried the whole episode about
literal tears.
how. I mean, I don't know if there may have been some moments of that, but she literally.
No, she talked about real moments that happened. Like, and Rogan was actually affected by it. But here's the thing about Rogan: Rogan knows where his money is, and being pro-Muslim and being siding with any resemblance of siding with a Muslim agenda or in an Arab identity is a death sentence for, especially when you're your own content with like podcasting.
But on the other hand, it's always about the money because, like, we know about the Chinese Uyghur thing. Mm-hmm. For the longest time, that's been happening for years.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, because during the Trump presidency, Trump made it a point and the conservatives made a point to have a trade battle with China, they amped up the Uyghur cause. They started talking about who was talking about it? All the neoliberal people, Sam Harris, Majid Nawaz, all these people
China, the pressing
these are all people.
population.
These are all people who are backed by the same neoliberal. When I mean neoliberal, folks, it's not the liberal. Not.
Right.
This is like an economic thing. We're not talking about liberalism. We're talking about economics. People who have a lot of money to make over the trade battles that are happening with China. So, all of a sudden, all you're hearing Sam Harris, Majid Nawaz, pleading, crying on Twitter about how he's reevaluating his relationship with Islam and the Muslims because of how the Uyghurs are being treated. You know, this is a coordinated effort. When maybe if one person did it, it would make sense. But then Majid, Sam Harris, Joe Rogan is talking about it. Everyone's talking about it. You know, like, oh, it's not about Islam. It's about them propping up a narrative against China.
And where have we seen this before?
And I'm not saying we're pro-China either. We're just saying that you have to follow where the money is. Well, how are these talking points being created so that you build some kind of a consensus?
It's building a narrative.
Yeah.
Right? And the narrative is support the agenda, but we've seen this before. It's called the Afghan Mujahideens. I posted a picture. Well, the Fortune magazine had campaigns running.
Wow.
Saying to donate to the Afghan Mujahideens in Fortune magazine.
What?
Yeah.
That really happened?
Yeah. When we were young, we had Bosnian Mujahideen who would come to our mosque. They had their own booth. They would be in full fatigues, military fatigues.
Oh my God.
They would be collecting money. 1994, 93.
Oh my God.
Yeah. That's how serious the situation was back then. And it was just like, yeah, go ahead and collect whatever money you want. And no one batted an eye.
I'm actually gonna pull this up, and I want you guys to see this. I mean, I don't know if there's a way you can put it up from my Twitter feed or whatever.
Maybe just.
But yeah, here it is. This is the literal. I don't know if should I just send it to your WhatsApp?
Yeah, just send it to WhatsApp.
Okay.
But,
I mean, literally, it's just. I mean, an open agenda to create this narrative that now we are the defenders, that we're standing with the right people, right? But at the end of the day, they don't care about the Uyghur Muslims, because if they cared about the Uyghurs, why don't they have the same attitude toward India and the oppression of Kashmiri Muslims?
Yeah. So again, it's all about economics, about trade, about building consensus, adding pressure on China. The Americans and Chinese are in a very deadlock relationship. If you study what's happening in the South China Sea at all, you'll know that there's a lot of military buildup that's happening over there, and America's trying to control as many resources over there as they can so that they can protect their trade routes without them being taxed by China and so on. So
yeah, you were telling me about that the other day.
But lastly, before we wrap things up,
what do you think about hijab in Peterson?
Is that happening? Because I heard, because I thought I saw someone tweet out or send me a screenshot saying that it's rescheduled or canceled. Does anyone know in the chat?
No, I mean, not that I know of. I'm in the group with them.
Is that still happening?
Whoopsie.
Yeah,
I think Hamza Yusuf and Jordan Peterson's been canceled indefinitely. I don't know if that's being rescheduled at all.
Different. I mean, but from what I understand is that this is still happening. This is
what date is that happening at?
Huh? Yeah, Mohammed Hijab is going to be talking to Jordan Peterson.
But what date? On what date?
I think it's going to be November 8th or something like that. Or I'm looking at their WhatsApp group, and I'm telling you, I don't see any change in the dates. Yeah.
I don't know. I just that's such a strange matchup. Mohammed Hijab is like the WWE of Dawa guys. He's very smart, intelligent, but he's very in your face. Like, I could see him.
He doesn't mince words.
But you know what, though?
He just seems like I know he.
No, but
it's not like he can't navigate.
Too, though. But he does it in a passive-aggressive way. It's very passive-aggressive.
Wait, Jordan Peterson?
Yeah, like, have you seen him do, like, when he's talking to, like, the feminists and he's talking about women's rights? The way he won't yell, but his tone, his body language is very aggressive.
It's a little bit like a dad that's not going to have any of your crap.
Yeah, and it's almost like condescending.
But I kind of like it.
No, I'm saying...
I love it too. And look, a lot of people, there's a reason why hijab has, went to the stratosphere in the number of followers and his just overall celebrity. And it's because he's incredibly charismatic, he's intelligent, and he's handsome, he's muscular, he's fit, he talks like this, and you're a boy.
You're finished.
You're finished.
You're finished.
And he,
You're finished.
There's a charm to that, and I love it. And so do everyone, so does everyone else.
On tables.
It's just amazing.
Hamza Yusuf would have been a gentler option for Jordan Peterson.
Well, Hamza Yusuf is a gentle man, and he's a very kind-hearted man. I'm not sure I think that would have been a great and
But you know
productive conversation too. But I think hijab is more likely to clearly delineate where we are and where they are. Like the premises where that Jordan Peterson's book start off with anthropomorphic qualities between human beings and animals and stuff.
So let me tell you why I support my man hijab doing this. Because honestly, I like Hamza Yusuf with all due respect, but he's too nice of a guy. I'm not here to have a teacup party with you and talk about what we agree. We already know what we agree on. We already know what we agree on.
Yeah.
We already know that Islam means peace and we don't want to hurt you and we can all be brothers and sisters. No, we want to see what's different. Because Jordan Peterson is challenging norms that traditional things, I mean, that the left is challenging right now. And he's pushing back with traditionalism.
Right.
And I want someone from the Muslim side to push back and say, listen, you think you know traditionalism? We know traditionalism. We actually own traditionalism.
But that might not be... It depends on what the end is and what... Because is your objective to bring more people to Islam?
So I think objective...
What's your objective in having Jordan Peterson interview a big Muslim figure?
I'll tell you, for me, I don't think it's going to be a source for people to come to Islam in that way, but for me, I think it's a good time to show the strength of Islam. Why we are intellectually superior to everything else.
But isn't that wanting to bring more... Doesn't that come from wanting to bring more people to Islam?
I think it's more of conveying what we have. And then the guidance comes from Allah. But conveying with conviction what we have and having that absolute certainty in it and presenting it in a way where it's like full confidence is what I'd rather see than this kind of idea of trying to persuade Jordan Peterson that we're not bad people, that we actually have...
We share common things and and we both see that the liberals are the enemy. We get all that, okay? That's the thing is, here's the problem with a whole class of Muslims. I'm not saying who's who here. I'm not even suggesting that Hamza Yusuf is this, but what I see is Islam has an alternative to the modern condition. It's saying, hey, stop worrying about what you can find in common with all the various types of intersections of humanity right now, and say, hey, this is what our faith came 1400 years ago to demolish all these barriers and say, hey, we are human beings, and the good, it's only the good and the qualities and the closeness that we have with our Creator is what makes us good human beings. And I think that in itself,
it's convincing.
Shows to people, because right now what they're looking for is national characteristics. Okay, well, you know what? So the right wing is saying that, hey, we're all Americans here. Stop looking at color, okay? So they're organizing or rallying around the national identity,
right.
Okay? But the left is saying that we're all Americans, but what supersedes our American identity is our actual our experience, our actual whether we're black, disabled, LGBT, our oppressed categories are what defines us. You know, whether even veterans are now saying that, hey, we're a protected class too. Veterans of war, like, don't stop asking me about my PTSD experience. I'm like, Stop
making me check those boxes on my job application.
Well, what the hell's interesting about you then?
Yeah.
Like, we asked you about whether you shot people for a reason.
Yeah, I think we need to find out so you don't go shooting up a mall or something. You know, we need to find out if you're okay.
Well,
you know what I mean?
We want to hear some cool war.
We need to find out.
We want to hear some cool war stories, and you're saying no, I don't want to talk about it.
That's the first thing I think of when I think of a vet. I'm like, did you kill someone? That's like literally the first thing that comes on in my head.
Everyone does that. Everyone thinks that.
No, but I want to know.
I asked my friend in high school. Her father had been a Navy SEAL, and I was sleeping over at her house, and we were just like hanging out in the living room. And I remember asking him, did you ever kill somebody, Mr. Knowlton?
You know what? That's so
odd. He just looked at me and he was like, you shouldn't ask that, honey.
No, but the thing is, like, for me, it's like, that's not what my thing is. Like, my mind goes to, like, what classified information did you know?
Of course.
That's what my mind goes to.
That's what you think of.
Yeah.
But I mean, to go back to
They
what...
want
Is
you
it
to bring
too
your...
far?
They're saying they
Give
can't
evidence
hear.
of
Okay, is that
Bigfoot?
better?
Sasquatch.
No, but it's tricky because, of course, you never want to dilute Islam, right? And you want Islam to be represented as the magnificent force that it is. But at the same time, sometimes, and I'm not saying that this is okay, but I know in my own case, sometimes those diluted, for lack of a better word, representations of Islam create bridges for people who are too brainwashed against Islam to come closer to it. So I know for me, in order to get to where I am now, as a practicing Muslim, I had to have that type of watered down Hamza Yusuf representation of Islam.
But that's why we got
face.
you now. You're a whitey. So you can
so
do your face.
I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying that Allah works in mysterious ways, and everybody is playing a role, whether or not we know what that role is.
So you're right, but I'm saying that role, Allah will guide whoever He wants and how He wants.
It's true.
But our job is to convey Islam the way it is. Right? Well, if someone, like, for example, there are people who come out and say, you know what, there's a guy who talked to me, I've heard this before, by the way, a Muslim guy who was getting high in the park was talking to Islam to some Kafir guy while they were high. And it sparked his interest in Islam.
Yeah.
Should we say now we should get high and go start giving dawah in
That's
public?
a good point.
You know what I mean? We don't do that, right? If it happened because Allah wills it happen, that's different. But we have a clear way of how we convey our religion.
Yeah.
We're unapologetic about it. We don't insult them. We convey in the best of manners and good speech.
Yeah.
With respect, and we call them to Allah. But beyond that, we don't need to change our approach.
Yeah.
If it happens that they find someone who was like that, some weirdo Sufi guy out there who did something. You know, maybe he's, I don't know, dancing around in a dress and they thought he brought, Allah brings him, whatever.
That's
you know
the kind of thing I would have liked back then.
Meg was showing me the other day. There's this Muslim hijabi.
No, remember that lesbian one you were talking about?
She's a pole dancer on Instagram.
No, okay, that's not that lady didn't bring
But
me closer to Islam.
I know. But we were joking about this.
All right, everybody, if you want to be,
she's all covered. Okay,
no, that's the thing is she's not.
Oh, she's not covered. Okay.
So if you guys want to have your mind blown, look up Elle Vernon or Leah Vernon on Instagram. This is gonna.
He's going right now.
It's gonna make you.
No, but wait.
It might make you throw up in your mouth a little bit, but it will also just befuddle you till the end of time.
What about that one person of yours that said they brought you, that kind of exposed you, where you're like this weird feminist, like shamanist? Remember that person?
Oh, there was another one too. Yeah, she's like, I'm an Islamic Sufi witch, and I'm queer, and she was like,
looked like a
but it I used to like stuff like that. Not that far. I was never like that to that degree, but that type of stuff, like I always could look at that and be like, okay, that's going too far. But the mystical stuff and the woo-woo stuff, and that really made me.
Who doesn't like good, nice fairy tales? I can levitate and fly.
I loved fairy tales.
And I can look into your mind and look into your third eye.
And I had to let go of all. I had to let go of all that stuff and realize, especially after getting married, you really explained a lot of stuff to me. Okay, don't laugh.
No, is this the lady?
Yeah, this is her. So her whole thing is.
Oh, this is the one.
That's the one.
The one that stomped around. Who doesn't want to be body shamed even though she's like wearing.
So she made a literal post.
Can we pull it up?
Posing
which is the one
as a dominatrix.
Oh, we can't put that here.
If you have children, you might want to push them.
I don't think we can put that.
Push them away from the screen.
No, let's not. We're not going to put any of that stuff on.
Okay, don't watch that one.
We're just going to show you.
Let's just pull it off, man. Cause I don't want to get like.
No, I'm not putting on anything despicable.
There's nothing on the screen.
No, there's nothing on the screen.
No, I'm thinking just get her Instagram off. I don't want to.
You don't want to give her.
Yeah, I don't want to. Don't give her the attention she. I mean, people like this. I know what you're saying. So basically, let's just be honest here. There's a big girl who wants to be body positive and gender, whatever, bisexual, queer, whatever, and any kind of experience, whatever, and just put a hijab on, and then everything is about, about what is it like? Everything that happened in the past. Everything is never a good birthday for her because, like, everything is just bad. So I celebrate all the bad things that happen to me. It's just total victimhood. It's
not even just that. She was at least from whatever Meg was telling me was that she was trying to create. Well, you thought a hijabi can't do this. Well, she can. I'm doing it right now.
And
hijabi dominatrix.
I'm like, well, yeah, I guess you technically are, but that's not Islam. This isn't correct behavior. And like, yeah, okay, sure. She's like, you think hijabis can't be dominatrixes? Well, here I am. I exist. You think hijabis can't wear transparent clothing? Well, here I am. I'm wearing transparent clothing and I exist. I'm fat, black, and Muslim and queer. And that's the whole thing. And I actually commented on one of her posts and she never wrote back. I was like, it's really interesting to me, like, what you're portraying, but I'm just curious, since you are claiming your Islamic identity so publicly, why don't you really ever talk about your Islamic practice or what your relationship with Allah is like, or
how that influences what you're doing now?
Inspire your followers, enjoin them to do good, or talk about the Quran, or talk about the Prophet, peace be upon him, or anything like what is Islam to you? I'm just curious, because you're literally the only time you're referencing Islam is in opposition to its values.
Right.
Well, what's the thing they say? Well, I can't. The word's escaping me. It's basically you're just trying to show the opposite of what.
Contrarian.
Yeah. Well, not contrarian. You're trying to breaking stereotypes.
Oh yeah.
You know that whole thing. Remember after 9/11, there was like this whole class of Muslims who just exploded out of the blue. Like, we're shattering stereotypes, and we're going to become fencers, and we're going to become all kinds of different.
We're going to become actors. We're going to become chefs.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Chefs. Why chefs?
We're going to become podcasters. We're doing right now.
I mean,
we'll become everything but actually good at that.
Exactly. Speaking of that, listen. We're going to segue for a second. Me and Sim were talking. Muslim comedy sucks.
Really? You think it does?
It really sucks. So bad. For anyone that appreciates comedy, Muslim comedy is horrible.
Yeah.
Put it this way. I would rather have my tongue stabbed with a rusty screwdriver and get tetanus than listen to Muslim comedy.
But that's the problem is...
Wait. Define, though, what Muslim comedy... Are you talking about
Muslim comedians.
Muslim comedians who are talking about...
Muslim
because
comedy
people
scene.
Will say, well, Chappelle is a Muslim and he's funny.
Muslim comedy scene. So what I mean by that is, like, the Muslim comedians that, that use the identity of being Muslim.
Yeah.
Right? Dave Chappelle doesn't use the identity of being a Muslim to do his comedy.
Yeah.
Right? It's different. I don't want to mention names and start calling out people, but just you think of them. Insert any name here.
But that's always cheesy.
It sucks.
It almost always sucks across the board when you have Nasheed people. Sometimes that's super cheesy too. Whenever you have someone that's like, my whole identity is based around being Muslim in a place that's not supposed to be for Muslims, it's always cheesy.
Can I tell you what's cheesy too? When you have people who just make accents boring.
Really? Like
yeah, like if you have an Indian guy or the Pakistani guy, all he does is scream like it's boring. It's cool the first 5 seconds, right?
It's funny to me. I like those accents.
Yeah, I mean,
I want you to do it more.
Of course it is, but I'm saying if your whole routine is that all day long, it's boring.
What's the dog one?
Like, I'm funny.
The dog?
Kick my dog?
Kick my dog.
Kick my dog.
Oh, well, that's an old one. That's from the 90s.
Yeah, but
I was showing that to you the other day.
It was really funny.
Yeah, but imagine you hearing that over and over and over again for like 5 years.
Yeah.
Pretty boring, right? And this is like recycled material.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry to say, but Muslim comedians, you guys suck so bad. I would never listen to any one of you guys.
Who's that one guy that is Maheen's friend? That Ohio kid.
No, you know who the funniest?
No, the Ohio guy, dude.
Ohio kid?
The Ohio guy who's man.
No, you're talking about Doctor.
No, not Doctor. Bro, the
a dentist.
Is he a dentist?
From Cincinnati?
No. That's Yusuf Cincinnati. No, this is a comedian, dude.
Oh, I don't know.
He's on Facebook. His name is like.
I don't know. Listen, bro.
He's one of Maheen's friends.
You know, I think the funniest person besides Sim that I know is probably that guy we brought on the show from Islamica.
I love that dude.
It's freaking hilarious.
What's his name?
I forget. Big.
Yeah, I'm Mirza.
Yeah, Mirza Big. But I'm saying that, and so the reason why we're talking about this is because we want to get your opinion. Me and Sim are legitimately thinking about opening a side channel.
Oh my god.
And just it's gonna be called.
We have so many ideas that just end up falling apart.
It's not gonna be serious about Muslims or anything like that. It's just gonna be called the Jihad Laughter.
That's so funny.
No, the Laughing Jihad.
The Laughing Jihad. I'm sorry. The Laughing Jihad. And the trick is that we're gonna bring the show, and if you laugh, you go boom.
That's like the fairy tale of the princess that never laughed. Did you guys hear about that fairy tale? It's a white person fairy tale.
Okay, you're getting honor killed. But I'm saying, what do you guys think? In the comment, let us know. Should me and Sim, because we don't want to do that on this show. Like, we kind of respect you guys, and we don't want to be those YouTubers that start off one way and then just use the audience to start doing something else, right? I don't even want to announce the channel. I just want to do it, and if you guys find us, you find us. But we want to do something that is, because this is not our only identity. Like, when we talk, we laugh, we joke about a lot of things.
You guys should hear what happens during hookah hour over here. You don't even know.
We don't do
hooker
that.
Hour? Who's the hooker?
What's a hooker?
Hookah. Oh wait, do they not know? Are we not allowed to talk about hookah?
I don't
nice
know.
What's hookah? I don't know what hookah is. I've never seen it before.
Now I gotta edit this video.
Yeah.
You have to edit it for real?
Yeah, you don't know the Shabab in UK. They're
judgmental about stuff.
They don't
Why
like
are
this
you
stuff
afraid of them?
because they are primary base.
He's very timid.
They hold us.
No,
they hold
he's
us
very
hostage.
scared about the Shababis in the UK because if they have one negative experience about or comment about him, he takes it to heart.
Really?
Because
he wants to be in the UK, bro.
The UK people, they raised me. I'm kind of like their stepchild.
He
because
feels indebted to them.
You know when in 1997.
This is such crap. I've never.
I was straight out of.
We're Americans.
Listen,
who cares about that?
Hang on.
USA.
I'm right out of high school, 1997. I'm making calls to all these guys who are now in prison from Motorola. That was my first contract job. I was doing customers. So I had the corporate line, so I wouldn't make any phone calls from my own phone number. Mm-hmm. But I'm calling all these shady individuals all over the UK who are in prison now.
MashaAllah.
Using their corporate line. Talking to them. And I'm like, hey, tell me their destination. Tell me where to go. I'm ready. Those they were my ammus, my uncles, you know.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, I think the Muslim community in the UK has done a wonderful thing where they built like this thing, but their experience is much different than ours. Meaning that they don't have to. I mean, the UK police don't carry guns.
Well, what do they carry?
Balloons, pepper spray. I don't know, but not guns. But I mean, when you talk about, I'm talking about being a 14 and 15-year-old kid being put up against a car and having a gun shoved to my face. You act differently. You know, you just know what lines to cross, what not lines to cross, right? Having my car split apart. Anyways, point being is their community is different. They're more concentrated. I respect what they do. I love their community. I'm friendly with.
Sometimes I have a hard time with it on YouTube. Sometimes I see these like UK refutation videos. And
they're very much about that culture, though.
And I'm kind of like, that's the sound that goes on in my head.
What I was telling Mort was. And I don't mean any disrespect to your whole Sunni defense thing, and I know you have this huge crowd that you roll with, but to me, the Muhammad hijab, and bro, you hang out with them. You have.
I'm the American.
You said you're on a WhatsApp group with them. You're on a WhatsApp group with all of them.
I'm an independent American contractor. USA.
To me, all that stuff is like we've been there. We did that. Like me and you were on Pal Talk 24. How many shahadas we're given on that stuff, bro? So many.
Pal Talk?
Pal Talk was this like thing right before all this other Twitter and stuff.
It's basically an online app where you can have voice chat rooms online.
Oh, I like that.
And you can talk to people from wherever.
Is it still around?
It's like it's kind of like what Clubhouse is.
No, it's Clubhouse.
It's kind of like what Clubhouse is now. That's what was around in the early 2000s.
So people took shahadas over Pal Talk?
Yeah, I mean, there were people who, but look,
we would do hardcore dawah and stuff. We would battle against Christians.
Wow.
Polemics is something I enjoy. I enjoy debating. So when a dirty koof tries to make arguments against Islam, I love shutting them down. Right?
I've heard you do it. I've heard you do it.
Yeah, and like, yo, so when you are, because that's, look, for me, it's not just conveying Islam.
Yeah.
For me, it's a rejuvenation of my iman. I know that, I mean, this is, every time I do this, I'm convincing myself. Right? It's kind of like this reminder that I have something that they don't have. Right? Anyway, point being is, he's right. I take, that's why I take breaks now, right? I don't do it all the time because you get a bit tired. Like, I don't do full-time Sunni defense. Like, just the Shia, I can talk about them all day long. I do on Clubhouse. I just decimate them. But the problem is that you can't let this become your personality, right? There's more to us than just refutations, what they call jarh wa ta'dil, refutations, and just picking out people's faults. There's more to life than just that. Yeah. Right? There's a time and place for everything. And I think we've grown past that.
I will say, when I did go to the UK, I hung out recently when I went to, help out.
Did you shake your head like this because the cameras were watching, bro?
No, bro, no. The guys I hung out with, a brother from Lutonshire.
Who knows that 4 Lions reference? Type of one in the comments.
He drove me around.
Mashallah.
I don't know if he wants me to mention his name, but what I'll tell him is I really appreciate when we hung out. We did everything that I would have done with Mort, and we talked about everything. We made dirty jokes. We had such a good time. So, like, I know we make fun of the British guys, but there's a lot of times the hardcore guys are really a big pocket of there, but they have a lot of, like,
I love them.
A lot of guys. We have a lot. They have a lot of guys that are just like us too.
I know that. I know. I talk to them. I'm saying, look, there's a stereotype that liberalism comes out of America. But to be honest, if I'm going to be quite frank and honest, the UK has just as many liberal Muslims as America does, if not more. Right? You have people that they have very strange views that come out of, I mean, look, dude, you've got people like Yasser al-Habib broadcasting from the UK. You've got people like Osama Hassan, who's like trying to Majid Nawaz. You've got all kinds of. You have British MPs and lords that are like liberal Muslims that are like in part of the parliament and government, like way more in that stuff than we do, right? But yes, there's a faction. But here's the thing: the difference is the ones that can be outspoken. You can be a lot more outspoken in the UK in terms of like your religion in terms of government and like criticizing than in America, because their provisions for their rights is a lot different than America is. Yeah. Right? In America, you can get sent to Guantanamo Bay. You can get sent to a black site. Yeah. And you're done. Right? So it's a very different thing.
All right, guys, let's wrap this baby up.
Wait, hold on. You have to tell them.
What?
Make sure you comment and let us know if we should open a side channel. Well, me and Sim
and help us out with some names. We right
now.
The
Laughing Jihad.
I
think a laughing cow. The Laughing Jihad.
The Laughing Jihad.
Also, we forgot to ask them. Would you please donate to our Patreon, because we need it and we don't get any money from YouTube anymore because they're mean and they demonetized us for absolutely no reason, and everything's coming out of our pockets. So
completely no reason. You know what the reason they gave more? They said that we click on our own videos over and over again.
Yeah, why would I do that? I hate listening to myself.
Odd. Why would we click? They said invalid clicks. Such crap. It like,
you know what it is? I bet you because they're being racist. We have to take a stand. We found our cause now. We're social justice work. Just because Muslims are clicking from Indonesia and Bangladesh, they think they're fake clicks because they think all those are scammers. Shame on YouTube.
No, I wonder if a bunch of Indonesians clicked after that one video that we made, and that's why it got demonetized.
It's your fault, Whitey.
Blame the white.
Honor killing coming.
Dude, YouTube views from Indonesia are something else.
The Laughing Jihad, anyway. We're gonna laugh you to death.
Thanks, guys.
Folks, make sure you click on like and subscribe. Hit the thumbs up button.
Really hard.
Make sure that
annihilate that like button.
Yeah. Make sure you tell us your thoughts and comments in the section below. If you think that Megan's red pilled, let us know. She hates that term. She does not want to be called red pilled. But I think she's red pilled, and she just hasn't. I think you identify very much with that movement.
Since we're in 2021, we're going to use magenta. I'm magenta pilled.
I think you would have such a huge following. You know, she used to listen to Becoming the Alpha Muslim before we got married. She told me about him like, I'm like, hey, I know that guy.
Yeah. I'm good friends with the guy.
No, because then if I say that I'm red pilled, then people are gonna
There's
think
a negative
that,
connotation. You're right.
Yeah, and I also do think some men really suck. Like, some of you guys are sexist and
Yeah.
misogynist and awful. Like, that's just a fact.
No, you know what you're saying though is right, and that's why I tell people that we Muslims have our unique identity. We don't need to belong to the red pill or left or progressive. We have
Yeah.
our own unique identity. Own it. We're just Muslims.
Yeah.
I just believe in the divine feminine and the divine masculine aspects of humanity. I don't think that there's a problem with them. I don't believe in a gender war. I think that's the
But I
trick
like
of
red pill
shaitan.
Yeah, that's the trick of secularism. But anyway,
Anyway.
thank you
Can
all
we make
for
a t-shirt
listening.
on red pill, Megan? This just sounds great.
Okay, you can.
All right.
We'll see y'all later.
Assalamu
Hashtag
alaikum.
save red pill, Megan. From the narcissist.
Narcissist signing out. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum.